Now you've made money, what next? Now you don't have money problems as much as you used to, what next? Hello, my name is Jamila Idris. What is your motivation for making money? Why do you want to make money, or what was the motivation when you started making money? For a lot of people, they had a very rough childhood where money was very tight, and it became a motivation to create a better life for themselves and their future. For some other people, it is out of pain. They experienced maybe the loss of a loved one because of their inability to meet some monetary needs, and that became a pain that motivates them, or is motivating them to make money. And then for some other people, it is to prove somebody wrong, especially an authority figure in their life. Maybe their father, who says they won't amount to anything, or maybe that teacher from school who has told them that they won't amount to anything. So what is it for you? A lot of high achievers use those negative motivations, as effective as they could be, to get to a level of notoriety where they don't have many money problems. But then that anger fizzles off. That pain isn't no longer as painful as it was, or that authority figure isn't there anymore, and it feels like they have lost steam. They don't have that push to continue to work towards making more money, and they basically get into self-destruct mode. In one of my videos, I made mention of the need for us to have a vision that pulls us in rather than a goal that pushes us. And this is the difference. When you have a vision that is way, way, way beyond you, something that feels almost impossible to achieve, it is easier to keep going even when the emotions go away. But then where it is a push, where something is pushing you, that pain, that anger, that frustration, or the need to prove that person wrong, what happens is that you get to a point where that wouldn't take you forward anymore. What then happens? This is the situation where a lot of high achievers find themselves, and they just get stuck. They're unable to move forward, or they find themselves in this circle where they make money, they splurge it, and they go back to less than square zero, and it just continues. So what is your habit when it comes to money? What are your habits when it comes to money? I like to say money is a tool. It is whatever you make out of it, however you decide to use it. It is a tool you use to help you fulfill your highest potentials. So what is the definition you have attached to money? What is money to you? What is it for you? Do you see money as that thing that just basically gives you a voice in, on the table or in the circle of the people who matter? Or is it a tool you use to advance the work of God on earth and improve the living conditions of yourself and your generations to come? So when we go back to the scriptures, even the prophets had money. They were wealthy. And in this case, they didn't just have riches, they didn't just have money, they had other forms of wealth. In the case of Prophet Solomon, peace be upon him, he had kingdom like none before. He could hear animals, he could speak to animals, he could control and command jinns, and he had power over the wind and all of those things. So it was very easy for it to get into him. he had so much power. And then when you look at Prophet Abraham, he also had so much wealth. And when you go back to the scriptures, the things that are used to define riches are gold, silver, cattle, and children. So, which of this are you very rich in? And for a lot of people who were destroyed in the holy books were people who used those gifts that God has given them in form of gold, silver, cattle, and all of that to disobey God, right? Now, you making a lot of money and now splurging and using it in a way that does not align with God, what do you think is going to happen? That is something you need to ponder over. Whatever you get is not as a result of your hard work. Rather, it is a blessing from God. So if it is not as a result of your hard work and a blessing from God, it is now very important, or it is needed. It is required for you to now go back to God, who has blessed you with this, to ask how to use it. And in the Quran, there is a basic formula on how you use your money. You divide it into 3. The first part is what you get to spend. The second part you get to give. And the third part, you get to reinvest it into your work. So if you have a business, that third part is what you reinvest into your business so your business grows, or you put back into learning more skills so that you can increase your earning capacity if you are a career executive. One of my mentors says that principles are God's automation, and I love the principle of receiving wealth, and it is the give and take. When you give, you receive, or you have not because you give not. For a lot of us, we're focused on taking rather than giving, but our ability to get, our ability to receive is tied to our ability to give. That is why it is very important for us to put a percentage of our earnings to giving back to people. Not even giving back, because it's not like you're taking from anybody, but then you're giving to help people, to improve the quality of other people's lives. Now, when this, you know that this money or this wealth you're building or this riches you have right now is as a result of God's blessing, not just from your hard work. What happens is that you feel gratitude and you live from a place of gratitude. So it is easy for you not to tie this money to your chest, and you're able to give freely. For a lot of people, they struggle with giving because it's like, I have worked so hard for this and I won't give this to somebody, or somebody who isn't deserving of it, so to say. But there are some people who are deserving, and there are people who you should give your money to, and these people may not even be your family, because one very sweet verse I like in the Quran is where Allah says, you shouldn't give your wealth to the foolish, even though they be of kith and kin. So just because somebody is your family member doesn't mean that they deserve your money if they are foolish with their spending. So we need to be very, very careful. We need to pay attention to our spending habits, how we use this blessing that God has given us. And God is going to ask us at the end of the day how we earned our money and how we spent it. You don't want a situation where you earn this money in a very good way and you spend it in a way that does not glorify God, or you earn your money in a way that does not glorify God and you want to spend it in a way of God. It wouldn't work. So as much as possible, you need to purify your earnings. You need to ensure that you are not cheating other people, you are not scamming other people, you are not taking advantage of other people, you are not causing harm to other people. We live in a society where they say the end justifies the means. As long as you have the money, whatever got hurt in the process is secondary. But then with God, that does not work. the way you earn your money needs to be very legal. It needs to be done in a way that glorifies God and in a way that does not harm other people. And then you also use the money in a way that glorifies God. And I want to even ask you a question. Have you ever heard that people who commit crime against humanity, people who, let's say, engage in diabolic ways of building wealth, have you ever heard that their money creates a lot of impact, or they are listed as, the top rich people or wealthy people? Because for you to be on those lists, you need to have shown how you earned your money and how you're spending it. So even some of all these bodies that determine the richest people and things like that have a metrics of ensuring that they have the right people on their list. Talk more of God himself. So we need to be very careful with the ways we earn money and at the same time how we spend it. God does not like waste, right? So even though you have earned this money and you think you have worked for it, it's not just from your work. It is also through the help of God, through the grace of God. So it is very important that you are not overly miserly and at the same time you are not a spendthrift. So it is creating some level of balance where you're able to spend in a way that glorifies God, and even wear all those things that are not extravagant, so that other people will see the way you live your life, the way you spend your money, and they glorify God as a result. And then it strengthens their belief in God. And I believe that if most of us who are earning in the good way, the halal way, a way that glorifies God, really show our wealth in a way that isn't extravagant and speak about it, it will give some people hope that people who believe in God can actually build wealth, rather than thinking the only way to build wealth is to go the wrong way. And we really need good people to build wealth and to have to command a lot of wealth, because those are the people who would help to progress the work of God on earth and create a lot of impact in the lives of people. There are people who have money right now who did not get their money well, or are not spending their money in a way that glorifies God, that are causing chaos all over the world, that are funding terrorism, that are doing so many bad things and influencing policies in a way that causes harm to the greater people and just benefits the few. But imagine that you, as a good person, have a lot of money. Money is an enhancer. If you're a good person, it enhances your ability to do good. And if you're a bad person, it also enhances your ability to do bad. So, which are you? If you pride yourself as a good person and you know that deep down you are a good person, it is important that you begin to improve your ability to earn more money, to create more wealth in your life, so that you can spread more good and become a force for good in this world. When it comes to creating wealth, there are different levels to it. There are some people who create wealth from their work, from their ability to use their energy and their time to do serious work. There are also people who create from their ability to manage people. There are some who create from their ability to communicate. There are some people who create from their ability to create. And I feel like this is the highest form of creation, like for you to be able to use your creativity to create wealth, because your creativity is endless. And if we see ourselves as vicegerents of God, God is the super creator. When you go around and you see how God created the earth, you know that God is very creative. So if you're connected to God and you're connected to this creativity, there is no limit to what you're able to create. You don't spend from a limited resource, but then you create wealth from your creativity, from the abundance of your creativity. And at the end of the day, there is no limit to the amount of money you can get or you can build. And you're not doing this in a way that hurts other people, but you're doing it in a way that taps into the creativity of God, and you become an expression of that creativity. A situation where somebody gives value and they don't get value in return, we call it scam, right? So you don't want to be a scam where you're only taking from people without giving them some value. And so I am imploring you to become somebody of value, where you get to create and at the same time you give value for every value you receive from other people, so that you expand your abundance and you expand your wealth.